Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Kyle Bauer visits with Roger Tah-ha, a consultant in rangeland management, to talk about the different soil environments across the state. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Kyle Bauer talks with David Kraft from NRCS Salina about soil studies. Then it's the Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Kyle visits with Roger Tah-ha about managing the different rangeland environments in the state.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Roger Tah-ha. He's a consultant in rangeland management. Roger, you also have other titles too.
Well, yes, I'm a contractor with the Kansas Grazing Lands Coalition and the Kansas Prescribed Fire Council. So I have several hats. If I'm not on a project that is a KGLC or a fire council job, I may take it on privately as a consultant. This would be rangeland related stuff. It may be grazing plans, rangeland plant inventory, prescribed fire plan development. Lately out in the country that I come from, lesser prairie chicken habitat plan development, things like that.
Now, you're from Oakley, Kansas, but you cover the western part of the state a great deal. Is there a difference between, if you will, the folks at Hoxie and the folks at Hugoton?
Sure. There is a difference because, well, I don't know all the reasons why, but there is a difference. It's not just geographic. It's the range resource that surround them, that they live in. The sand sage prairie around Hugoton is vastly different than the short and midgrass prairie around Oakley and Hoxie, and therefore the management schemes are a bit different.
Now, I would say most of us learn our management schemes, the word you used, from our father or our grandfather, but that isn't necessarily always the best way to manage.
I'm not saying it can't work, but sometimes it doesn't because things have changed. For instance, Granddad might have had, he said, I have to, my rule of thumb is 10 acres per cow-calf pair for 6 months. Well, 3 generations later, the grandson says, Granddad did 10 acres per pair, that's what I'm doing. Well, Granddad had 900-pound cows. The grandson has 1,400-pound cows, so there's a lot of math involved here. Sometimes that math doesn't get done.
Well, and of course we have changing weather conditions too. And does what we have out there on the range change from year to year a bit?
Sure it does. Unless you're in a severe drought, most of the change however, is gradual, for the better or for the worse. Unless you're in a 5-year severe drought, then it gets toasty pretty quick. And if it doesn't rain, then pretty much all bets are off anyway.
So there's a lot of different species on native grass in Kansas, and we have a lot of good herbicides that work now. Does that help taking those weeds out?
Well, yeah, it'll take them out. The misconception is that most of those plants that are being taken out probably aren't weeds, unless it's musk thistle or Sericea lespedeza or something like that. A lot of these flowering, we call them forbs, non-grass plants out in the range, are native plants. They're supposed to be there, and just because a person's livestock class, whether it be cattle, sheep, or goats, or horses, or whatever, just because your animal might not be eating all those plants doesn't mean that they're a weed or they're a bad plant. Most of them are supposed to be there, and how do I say this? In the range management, range science world, we say that the more kinds of plants that are not noxious or invasive that are out there adds to the rangeland species richness or plant diversity. And it just means that if you have a lot of these things, whether they're being grazed or not, it means that your range is in a higher condition.
Visiting with Roger Tah-ha. He is a rangeland consultant. This is Kyle Bauer reporting.
Thanks, Kyle. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Steve Swaffer joins us. He's the Executive Director of No-Till on the Plains Incorporated. And Steve, we're not that far away from the 23rd Annual No-Till on the Plains Winter Conference, January 29th and the 30th in Wichita.
We've got a great set of speakers this year, including some high-profile soil scientists and progressive producers. And we think we'll have a little something for everybody this year.
And this is one, as it always has been the case, something for who is just beginning no-till farming practices or who are advanced in no-till farming practices.
We have sessions on the 28th that are aimed just at somebody who's getting started. We also have a session on the 31st for folks that are more advanced, and this year we even have a special workshop for those looking at reducing their fertilizer budget.
You also have an early bird deadline if people want to register as well?
The end of this month, December 31st, is our last day to register for our regular pricing, and then on January 1, the prices will go up just slightly.
Having the pre-session is something new, the pre-conference workshop that you have on the 28th.
We have a special guest, Joel Williams, who's going to be talking with producers about how they might be leveraging their nutrients that are in the soil, how they might actually take advantage of some of the nutrients with some plant synergies that are going on, and maybe even some foliar applications. So that's an all-day workshop focused specifically on reducing your budget for your fertilizer.
Past the conference itself on January 31st will be the AIM Symposium, and I'm sure that's going to be filled with a lot of great information.
This year we're focused on, again, soil health. We're looking at some nutrient density within foods issues, but also just how one might make the most advantage or take the most advantage of a cubic acre. So making sure that you understand there's value in what's below the surface to your crop.
You also have a special winter conference networking banquet, too.
Right, on Wednesday night, for people staying over for the AIM Symposium, we'll have a special banquet where you can come interact with the other attendees. We're going to have a special presentation about how you can spend $100 on 1 acre and change the world.
And Steve, finally, if people want to register, the best way to do that is go to your website?
Right, www.notill.org. That will give you registration information for all of our events, including some package deals if you register for multiple events.
That is Steve Swaffer, Executive Director of No-Till on the Plains Incorporated, who has been our guest on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Kyle Bauer and David Kraft.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn about the NRCS soil studies with Kyle Bauer and David Kraft.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with David Kraft. He's with the National Resource Conservation Service out of Salina, Kansas. David, you changed your job a couple years ago. Tell us what you do now compared to what you did before.
In 2004, I became the state rangeland specialist with NRCS in Kansas, and most recently, 2 years ago, I accepted a position as a regional ecological site specialist, where I work with individuals who are writing descriptions of plant communities on soils through the central part of the country, from the Gulf Coast up through North Dakota and Montana.
And what's the ultimate goal of that project?
To develop a product in which land-based decisions, ranchers, operators, even other agencies can look at those descriptions with a knowledge of history of how they have responded to management, either by natural situations or even more in the last 100 to 200 years of how man has influenced those plant communities, what they can expect by a certain set of circumstances, how they will react, and how they can make good decisions based upon what they know is going to happen.
And does that cut down erosion, or what's the ultimate reason for wanting to do that?
The ultimate goal would be to really provide conservation opportunities, practices that they might be able to apply that will either maintain where they currently are or move that plant community in a direction that meets their goals. Historically, we would have called these plant communities where they could potentially go historic climax plant communities. Now we refer to them as reference communities, so we know where they have been, where they are currently now, and a producer then would have a set of options to be able to drive that plant community through management and through just really focusing on what climate, what fire, what natural drivers are out there in that plant community, how they can move that plant community to a directed goal that they have.
Has that program been directed out of Salina for a long period of time?
Salina is just one of the, what you might call a hub of where that activity happens throughout the country. This has really been advanced over the last 5 years, where they're trying to get site descriptions written on every soil component in the lower 48 states. And so in 2 years, little bit more than 2 years, the entire country will have a site description written on that piece of property. It's not been anything that's just been, a late focus here. We've done this for quite a few years, but the direction now is to really try to get complete coverage over the entire lower 48.
Certainly, though, with your region going all the way from the Gulf to the Canadian border, there's got to be huge variation and everything from the climate to the soil to native species.
That's very true. Plant communities do change. A lot of the natural drivers do not. So grazing, fire, and climate are the three primary things that really make plant communities change. They also really start to focus on what is really important to them. So from a historical perspective, it's interesting that even though there's a great deal of difference in weather, especially in temperatures and even in precipitation, the same drivers hold true. So fire, grazing, and climate really are the main focuses on it. So if you understand those, then you can really adapt what you're doing from south to north.
It seems to me there's a lot more awareness than there used to be of those three items and what they can do.
I think that is particularly true, and as we start to talk about climate change, how those three things really start to apply to a producer's day-to-day decisions are really important. And I think we have seen more focus lately as there seems to be evidence of just erratic patterns in precipitation, even in dry conditions, and how those natural processes are a part of that. We are trying to better understand them. How can we use them to best to manage what we know to be these natural environments. So it is very important, but people are becoming more and more aware of it.
Visiting with David Kraft. He's with NRCS out of Salina, Kansas. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Today on our Kansas Farm Bureau update, meet the Boone's family, one of 10 families honored to be named a Kansas Farm Bureau Farm Family of the Year.
Kim and Carla Boone operate a family farm in Greenwood County. Along with son Brantz, they own and operate 500 acres of cropland and own a 240-head Brangus and Angus cross cow herd. Additionally, Kim and Carla have a partnership on another 150 head of cattle. Kim and Carla began their Farm Bureau involvement as active members on the Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee, and Carla has served on the state level as YF&R Committee Vice Chairman. Both have served as County Farm Bureau presidents, and Kim has served on both KFB's Oilseeds Advisory Committee and the Hay and Forage Committee. The Boones are members of the Neal Evangelical Free Church. Kim and Carla have served as Extension Board members and both keep busy volunteering with their local 4-H club. The Boones know individual agricultural producers are limited to what they can do alone, but by uniting a large group of producers, they can educate the public about agriculture to make an atmosphere where agriculture can thrive. The couple believe Kansas Farm Bureau is doing just that.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, and tools you'll need for around the house and farm. And a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Duane Checkered Shirt Taves.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that.
Why break the streak?
Exactly, though I like that one. Is that new?
It is a newer shirt.
I was going to say, I don't
Somebody
recall
said you
seeing
got to
that
be confident in your manhood to wear pink and baby blue.
That's
together.
what I thought. I was going to call it teal.
Yeah.
So, of course, I kind of pulled my man card even knowing the word teal. And then
Close, but I won't give you too much grief. Your fact or fiction question of the day.
You won't give me too much grief. All right.
The Riesling wine. Have you heard of Riesling wine?
Absolutely.
That originated in Australia. Not Australia. Austria. Austria. Home of Riesling grapes.
Well,
fact or fiction?
They're always named after the grape. But I don't know where the home of Riesling grapes are. I'll go with fiction.
It is fiction. I thought I might get you with that.
Where are Riesling grapes from?
Germany.
Germany.
Doesn't Riesling sound like a good German name?
Riesling, Westweinbau, it's fun. I used to have somewhere along the line in my choir days, I sang I think that was a Bach song. We sang Bach in junior high.
Really?
Yes, we were really good. What's wrong?
I got a cramp in my leg. I've never had that happen in studio before.
Oh, well, on radio it usually doesn't matter, but we're not doing radio.
I know, but I'm about to cry.
I want to make sure everybody be sure to put the camera on him.
Oh.
You're not going to file workers' comp claim, are you?
I need to drink more water.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
that was
something you don't do much of.
Uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. So, were you aren't a singer?
Well,
I mean, did you sing coming through school, or were you the one who stood on the back row and they told you to mouth but not make any noise?
No, I was a better singer than I was trumpet player.
Okay.
Trumpet lasted one semester. Choir lasted 3 years of high school, I believe.
Oh, wow. Well, that's impressive. So you did
the one thing I remember, and I wish I could give kudos to my choral instructor, but too many people don't understand that you don't need to hit the R too hard in words, because then it sounds really harsh.
Yeah.
You just kind of glide across the R when you're singing.
You learned that in choir?
I did.
That's the only thing you learned in choir.
And it seems odd, but like when I'm singing in church, the congregation, we sing like 4 songs at the beginning of our service. And
4 at just the beginning?
Yeah.
Wow.
We don't sing any in the middle, though. We get it all our singing out to start with.
So if you come in a little late, you just skip that 15 minutes.
You're done. You don't get to sing that week.
Well, or you didn't miss anything.
Or you stay for the second service, possibly.
Yeah.
Just stay through that part of the second service.
Our early service, we sing 2 songs, and it is a contemporary service.
Okay.
And has lots of children in it, and lots of parents with children. You know how that works.
Sure.
So it's awfully hard. I used to say the most unchristian thing we did every week was get our kids ready for church. And they certainly have developed the norm that it is not unacceptable and or anyone will look down on you if you come into church while we're singing.
Okay.
I mean, because everybody understands that it is, we're just happy
you're here.
Whatever you make it is just fine.
Yeah.
So we give you about 8 minutes of grace there at the beginning, because 2 songs.
Okay.
And so no one will even hardly notice because we're standing anyway, so you can sneak right in the first 8 minutes and wipe the sweat off and pull the sock out of the kid's mouth and start to be Christian-like.
Ready to listen up and take part.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.